Chase Elliott wants you back. Ross Chastain wants you back. Reddick wants you back. And the Bush brothers wants you back. La da da. Byron wants you back. And Seabell wants you back. After all of that action, I'm taking a petition. All the NASCAR fans will sign. Come back to COTA. Racing won't be the same if you go away, for you lose a good racetrack. The only good one in the Lone Star State. There's a date for you on the schedule, and the sort of layout was great. Come back to COTA. Racing won't be the same if you go away, for you lose a good racetrack. The only good one in the Lone Star State. There's a date for you on the schedule, and the sort of layout was great. Besides, the Mexican track might suck this year anyway. Besides, the Mexican track might suck this year anyway. Yeah.
Welcome into Happy Hour. What a beautiful song. What a beautiful song there.
Outstanding as always, Massie.
And something we learned this week, and we'll talk about, it appears, like I tell my girlfriend, better things come from small packages. So just let's get into this. Michael Massie, M_Massie22.
You hear that often, don't
CBT. You? I do. Hey, you know, I only got the gift that God has given me. So I have to, you know, it's effective.
You just you want to get out of the hole that you've already dug yourself.
Guys, I'm talking about a pin and this microphone. I'm really, you know, this is a small microphone. I'm talking about the microphone.
Yes.
Okay.
God, at this point,
Ryan Nolan,
bowling for soup.
Ryan Nolan, get your head out of the gutter, okay? God, yeah. You don't show for your own podcast. Why are you here? All right. Joining us this week, Michael Massie, Dalton Hopkins, and of course,
Peter.
Peter Stratta from TSJ Sports. Peter Stratta on Twitter. Peter, how are you doing?
Doing great. Looking forward to spending the next hour with you guys talking about a fun weekend of racing from COTA.
Yeah, what a time to be at COTA. And let's get right into it. As always, sit back, relax, crack it open, that cold one, unless you're driving, of course, or above age. So let's get into happy hour. And of course, our guest starts first. And I'm glad you're being responsible, Michael Massie. And our guest starts first. And I know, Peter, you wanted to talk about, obviously, Circuit of the Americas and its long-term outlook in NASCAR.
That's right. It was previewed leading into race weekend how there's no deal between SMI, the track itself, COTA, and NASCAR on any future in the Austin market. And I think it has earned its keep on the NASCAR schedule. I think we've seen decent to great fan turnouts every year, even with the monsoon back in 2021. I think we've seen a unique racing product there that very few other road courses provide. I think it's a world-class facility. It obviously hosting F1 has its own merits, and I think it serves a big market in northern Texas that's otherwise untapped.
Go ahead, Dalton.
Yeah, well, I mean, Peter brought up some great points, but also I think our singer Puke Combs did a great job in communicating this as well, is that COTA is really the only good track that we have that's currently in Texas. So with that said, just like Peter said as well, it does bring in a market, like an open wheel market, basically, into the sport, in that they want to check out stock car racing at COTA. And I also commend the idea of shortening the track, because I feel like that made a huge difference. The laps were way too long beforehand. So it shows that we're learning. We are still learning about this new track, and we're not ready to throw it away. We're not ready to give up on it, and we shouldn't be, because we've only been here for just a few. This was what, the fifth race now? Yeah, fifth race that we've done. So
I can count.
yeah, I mean, not all of them have been bangers. Really, only one of them was. But I guess this one was pretty good.
The Ross year, the finish with Ross, Bowman, and AJ was really good.
That is the one I'm talking about. I was gonna say this one was pretty good too. I shouldn't be so critical, but
yeah, the monsoon was entertaining as well.
Well, it was entertaining, but maybe not for the right reasons. Maybe it was entertaining in the sense of like why you would watch a demolition derby.
Dalton, you're just proving that I was right at the start of the show. Better things come for smaller packages.
Oh, good God! Please just stop. You're just making it worse.
Well, that's all the time we have, folks.
Well, that's all for this week. No,
this is Trey Lyle's last happy hour.
There it is. Next week,
going out with a bang.
Fill in.
No,
that would be worse.
Oh,
what are you talking about?
Text messages from Tom.
He's not watching live, so we're safe.
For now, he'll hear about it. He'll probably listen to it in the morning.
Again, folks, I was talking about my microphone.
Yes, nothing else, of course. But anyway, sorry.
I was going to shout out Jeremy here. He said, "I hope so. I like the track in either configuration. Plus, I visit San Antonio often and have been wanting to go to a race sometime." So, for Jeremy, obviously, I would argue COTA is way better than Texas. So I think
there's a very small, minute amount of people who would disagree with you on that. But I'm also very curious to hear what the ticket prices for the NASCAR race are compared to the Formula One race. I bet there's a pretty big difference there. Maybe one of our commenters can help us out with that one. But in the meantime, no, I think everyone likes it. See, Brian Nolan was there too. He just commented on here saying that the facility is amazing, and it does look pretty darn good. I sure would love to go there sometime.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. That it looks amazing. The track put on a great race with the shorter layout. I mean, if you could tell from the song at the beginning, you could tell I would like to see it back. The problem is, from what I could tell, from what I heard, is there were a lot of empty seats. And now we're in the era of TV controls all, and ticket sales really matter that much. But I would think for SMI, maybe NASCAR tracks, they don't care that much about ticket sales. I would think SMI, because they control it, that they would care a little more. And that's the only thing that has me skeptical about the future of this place. Because, if you're not, we just saw, Richmond lose a date because they didn't have big crowds. We saw when Rockingham came back the first time, the second year it had terrible attendance. They took it off the schedule. So, yeah, hopefully they do bring it back, and next year the crowd is like, wow, that race last year was so good. We need to buy our tickets now, and have a lot of pre-sale sales, I guess. And they, it will inspire them to bring it back. But I don't know. That's the only thing that has me skeptical. But I'm hoping for the sake of having a good track in Texas, that it is back next year.
Brian popping off in our comments. So is Jeremy. Want to thank you there. Even Brian, I guess I'll give a thanks to Brian Nolan, the birthday boy whose birthday is tomorrow. Facility alone is a massive reason to come back. Only reason not to come back is if other venues and locations can promise potential better race/attendance. Still, COTA should be considered forever. So here's the thing. If you want to think, if NASCAR wants to maintain relatively the same number of road courses, they would have to replace it with a road course. And they're not maybe you do something. And this is I've kind of mapped it out. You do Sonoma in this date, because I always want to see Sonoma in March when,
with the grass.
You're a winery and there's grass and it looks beautiful.
So good.
Sonoma is, I think if you do it in March where it looks amazing, and you can, I think there's a real possibility to it, because that could be a new way. And from a TV point of view, visually, I think it would look sweet. because I think the place that could replace it, the only place I would, from a visual point of view, always looks awesome is Road America, Elkhart Lake. And like, we were thinking, but that again is another complicated contract. I don't think SMI would give up the date. So do you go to an oval? You want to stay in Texas? Do you really want to go Texas twice? Like that's where it gets even more complicated.
And Trey, like you just said, this is ultimately an SMI date. They are leasing to COTA, so it would have to be either an SMI-owned track proper like Sonoma or them leasing out another track like they do with COTA. Maybe that's possible with Road America, but would a Wisconsin race in March always guarantee the best weather? Probably not.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think that if you want to take a road course race somewhere else, then SMI should move Sonoma to somewhere else, because that has been the most boring road course my entire life. And if anywhere should lose a date, that should be the place. If you want to go to some other road course, or SMI wants a street race or something like that, which that is something to think about, is that like it's the last year of Chicago. I don't think we're going to do another Chicago street race. Maybe we will. But maybe you could bring back Chicagoland for the NASCAR date, and SMI could try a street race somewhere instead, somewhere different. Like I think San Diego's been talked about, and I don't know. It'd be like if you take away from COTA, maybe you do an Austin street race or something. That's a possibility.
Can SMI? I was going to say, can SMI put up the money that NASCAR put up for the like? That's the thing. Like, I'm not sure if SMI is willing to put up like the millions and millions and millions of dollars plus all the legal and logistical loopholes you have to go through. Like NASCAR, I think, has more resources than SMI because of their shanking body aspect.
I don't think SMI is going to do. I don't think NASCAR is going to let SMI do that, because NASCAR has already put so much effort and money and all of these resources into making the Chicago street race, which I personally believe is a success. I mean, even if they don't come back next year, they're going to do a street race somewhere. I don't know if they would do it in Austin when IndyCar's got that. Where's the Grand Prix in Texas? Is it Dallas? Yeah, the Dallas Grand Prix. The Cowboy Stadium. Geez, I don't know. I don't know if that's really even a good idea either. I mean, COTA is like, we have some really good road courses on the schedule.
Do not give Jerry Jones any more of your money. Like, do not help Jerry Jones out.
Don't give Cowboy fans a reason.
I think Jerry Jones.
The good news, finally see someone win a meaningful race in Dallas.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I will say, hug a Dallas fan today, but just for basketball, not for football. Just trust me. We don't need to crap on Dallas right now.
I really hope Steven doesn't listen to this.
I would hug Steven. I feel bad for Steven right now. He had to deal with Brian Nolan all weekend, and then already deserving of a hug. Kyrie Irving tears his ACL, and the Mavs are even worse. Like, I feel bad for hugs. You see Steven, if you're in the Charlotte area watching this and you see Steven stump in the streets, just give him a hug. Don't add context. Just give him a hug.
Yeah, he'll react completely normally. He won't be upset by that whatsoever.
Just say, Steven, I am there for you, and I appreciate you. And then just keep walking. And just to add a cherry on top, just say, I love your stats, and then just keep walking.
Yeah.
I think we have such a good list of road courses as it is already. I mean, think about where we're already going. Watkins Glen, which has so much history behind it. Sonoma, which is out in California, wine country, like Trey said. We've also got a lot of our own history there as well. I don't think we should get rid of Sonoma because we've just been there for so long. Just for that fact alone. We also have some unique tracks, as in the Chicago Street Race, which is very unique because it's a street race. And then you have the Roval, which is unique because it's a Roval. And I don't think those should go away just because of how unique they are and just because that they're really the only type of its kind on the schedule. And then you have COTA, which I think is probably the most famous road course in the United States right now. I mean, globally, it's globally known. So NASCAR is the biggest motorsport in North America. I mean, viewership wise, it just is. and it should be going to COTA regardless.
Yeah, I hope it goes. I hope it stays. I think it will stay at COTA at least for one more year, just because it's hard to be like if this was a snooze fest of a race, then they have an excuse. It would be gone. But we had one of the best, honestly, maybe the best road course race in the next gen era.
Well, we also had the next gen car to deal with for all these years. I mean, it's been bad on every road course. I think Watkins Glen last year was like the first one that was actually tolerable.
Yeah, and this one's really good because you had tire fall off. Like it seemed like COTA and NASCAR, everyone figured it out, and it took 5 years for figuring it out. And if they give up, they're like, who cares? It's like you have all the answers to the test, and then you're about to take the test, and you're like, screw it, and just don't go.
So a couple of you guys have already mentioned this, but I'll just say I think the shorter layout is lightning in a bottle. Obviously, the longer layout is for F1 with the long DRS zone straightaway, which ultimately doesn't mean anything for NASCAR. So I think chopping that off and just having the national course is the way to go.
Never forget, COTA is a purpose-built circuit. And by purpose-built, I mean it is purposely built for Formula One, for F1, for open-wheel cars that have DRS. That does not translate well to stock cars.
And it's also for MotoGP, but you kind of built the same course for MotoGP that you do for. Hence why there's so much runoff area. Cars going way faster, so they need more runoff area. I will say this: will there be more passes? Were there more passes for the lead in Stage 3 of the NASCAR Cup Series race than there will be in the Formula One COTA race later this year?
Yes,
easy.
Probably.
Yeah,
Easy.
100%.
Probably.
Is there going to be more than one?
Yeah, because
there's going to be at least one pit cycle. So that's at least 2 or 3.
Yeah. So then, yes.
Oh, just saying. But one thing that we saw yesterday was clean driving. Someone who we forgot to tease this at the top because we were excited to have Peter on. Our guest next week has maybe been the victim of not clean driving of the past couple of weeks. If you've scrolled Twitter, and let's just say he's been on the right side of things.
Oh my goodness!
The right side
he
of the
will
wrong
be our
side.
guest next week.
Wow.
Well, you could say right is wrong and wrong is right.
Okay.
In this situation. So, just saying.
I guess you could say he's gotten some hard licks in the last few weeks.
He definitely has taken some hard licks in the last few weeks.
We're just joshing around.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a good way to see. All right. So we had honestly one of, if not, as I can remember, one of the cleanest finishes with actual passing that I can remember in quite some time, where I go back and be like, that's awesome. And it was straight up clean. And it was between 4 guys, essentially. You had Christopher Bell, Kyle Busch, Tyler Reddick, and William Byron all battling for the lead at the end of that race. It's ironic, given Kyle Busch confronted Christopher Bell at the race last year for almost the same situation where Bell would have dived into one and made contact with Busch. Well, we almost had that situation. Bell dives into one, but swerves out of the way and avoids Kyle Busch to reset, and then ultimately passes him because tires. Kyle Busch's car faded of late. But Peter, we can start with you on this. What did you think of the clean racing about the finish of that race?
I loved it. I think it was the opposite of some stereotypes that NASCAR unfortunately has for a race or two over the years. And I think my heart was pumping and I didn't know who was going to win until turn 20 on the last lap, which is all you can ask for in a Cup Series race. I think it was arguably the best finish we've seen out of any NASCAR series this season. And it made me want more at COTA. I hate that we'd have to potentially wait a whole 52 weeks for another rematch of that, because I left me wanting more. It was a good appetizer.
Yeah, I think it shows a testament to how mature Christopher Bell, William Byron, Tyler Reddick have gotten. And I keep thinking of them as like they're still like the young guns, right? They're still the new kids on the block. But the fact of the matter is that they're the veterans. I mean, they are the modern day superstars of the Cup Series. I mean, they share that with guys like Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson, but those guys have been around for a little bit longer. I mean, these guys have been around for only just a few years. And it just kind of goes to show that they have really, really matured. I think if we saw Carson Hocevar in second place behind Christopher Bell on that last lap going into turn 20, Bell would have been sent to Oklahoma. There's the young guys are just very aggressive. And they have to learn after a while that they can't be overly aggressive. And that is kind of what we saw out of the top three, which just so happened to be some of the three most veteran young gun guys that we currently have in the field, the most successful ones at least. So it really goes to show that the process works. It's not like everybody in the field is a bunch of, how do I put this? A bunch of pissed off teenagers, to quote Ricky Bobby, to quote Talladega Nights. So they're not all crazy. They're not all Ross Chastain. Yes, like they're some of them really are clean racers. Even when it comes for the win, they will still race with respect and cleanliness.
Yeah, I was the top 5 finishers. I gained so much respect for every single one of them on Sunday. The 4 guys battling for the win because they did it so cleanly. Like, I think Bell really just didn't want to wreck Kyle a third time at COTA. He had wrecked him 2 of the past 3 years. Like that one quarter where I forget which turn it was, but he was coming in hot. Looked like he was
turn
about
one.
to.
It was turn 1.
It was a turn 1.
The same spot it was last year.
That's right. It looked like he was going to wipe out Kyle, and he swerved. Like he blew the corner himself.
That just shows great awareness on Bell's part.
Oh yeah, like almost lost second to Byron.
And he maintained position.
Yeah,
like it was an impressive move. He swerved and maintained position with Byron right behind him.
But we'll talk about Connor Zillage later in the show. But Connor Zillage needs to watch what Bell was doing there, because that's how, when you have a much faster race car, that's how you race, and you don't rough up your teammates and all that stuff going to the lead. But yeah, all those guys really did put on display. And you say they're the young guns, but yeah, they're veterans now. Like Bell's 30 years old. Byron's been around for 8 years now.
Yeah.
So like they're no spring chicken.
Still feel like he just got here.
It's because he's so young when he started. It took a couple years for him.
Time
to
flies.
out. But yeah, they really are. And I think those guys, that Reddick, Byron, Bell, I think they'll really kind of be the face of NASCAR going forward. And Busch, I mean, anyone thinking he was washed or anything, like he showed he's still one tough guy, one bad guy.
He's still Kyle Busch. He's just in bad race cars. Like
yeah, you give him. If he was in a Gibbs car, he would have won that race.
I think it may, to me, on Sunday, and you want to throw in when he was in Atlanta in a fast truck, like, to me, it proved that Kyle Busch is still, like, he might not be peak Kyle Busch, which we may be talking about that a little bit later in the show. But, like, he's still, like, you put him in one of the 3 other cars, he wins the race. Like, that's how I feel about it. And he just had bad luck at the end, and he had probably the worst tires. So
right, that was the thing. Because he had the fastest car on Sunday. Data showed that, but his tires were just 2 or 3 laps older than Bell's, and that was what was ultimately the winning move.
Which awesome. Another credit to COTA. Which is another credit to COTA, by the way. Hence why, and also look at what Ross had to do at the end. If you watch the onboard of Chase, he literally, like, speaking of swerving, he swerved out of the way to get around Chase. And you brought up Connor Zillage. I was going to say, like, let's compare the 2 ends. And I think that's more of, like, I'm okay with seeing the Xfinity series because that's the series you make those mistakes in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like Connor Zillage took that and is like, oh, this is how I win. He won didn't celebrate like he celebrated, but he didn't celebrate. I don't think over the top. And
He was a bit
it's
subdued, yes.
He could have.
first,
He knew that there was some flaws,
and he
It
admitted
wasn't
to it right
perfect.
away. He's
He
like,
admitted to
"I'm
it.
sorry, I wasn't." And then you look at him on Sunday. Well, he passed a lot of. I know he finished last, but he still passed a lot of cars, and I think he did it pretty cleanly. I know we didn't get to watch much of it, but he did it relatively cleanly, and he figured out, oh, I can make a clean move into 6A. I can do it here. Like, this is how I operate. And you could see the natural progression as time went on throughout the weekend. And it's the Xfinity Series. When you're 18 years old, you should make that mistake.
Yeah.
It's not Christopher Bell shouldn't be making that mistake. Like, there's a big difference. And
Hey,
I believe
I will say Corey Haim, if Corey Haim gets him back, like he has every right to do so at some point.
which we've
And I
seen
think Connor
Corey Haim
knows
do.
that.
Yeah.
And it seems they talked. They already talked. So we'll see what happens there. All right. But my opinion about the finish, it was great. I if you go back and watch Massie and I on the front stretch watch party, we were all on the edge of our seat, and we're just like, it felt like I was a kid again watching these races, because it has got, you watch so many of these now when you cover the sport, they get very mundane, and there are a few times where it's like you're gripped. And now we're at 2 races this season where I was truly at the edge of my seat for the entire finish of the race. It was here in Atlanta, and that's credit to Atlanta. And so speaking of that, Dalton and I, and maybe others, will do the front stretch watch party at Phoenix this weekend. So tune in
Trey,
for that.
What is that? What are we doing? Say it again.
I am. Can I finish? But thank you. So what front stretch is doing this season is, and it's basically hosted by me, because Tom Bowles decided to drop this in my lap, and basically we are just doing a live watch along to the race, and you can come in, you can chat with us in the comments section.
Trey, are we doing this every week?
We are doing this every week, Dalton.
No way.
Live right here on the Front Stretch YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. So the same place you watch this happy hour live, you can watch the YouTube watch party live. So just go to youtube.com/front stretch, hit the subscribe button, hit notifications, and it'll tell you when we're live. And it's always funny because we 30 seconds behind, so it's always fun to see my late reaction.
Yeah, if you're tired of listening to the Fox booth already, just put their broadcast on your TV, pull up a second device, and have our stream and listen along with us.
Also, you can pray that NASCAR messes up and just decides to put the stream of the race on YouTube for everyone, and you can watch it for the first 3/4 of the race, which I did. What a moment.
Yeah.
All right. Should we move to our next topic?
We should.
So I guess the dirtiest moment of the race happened relatively early on and resulted with Austin Cindric. And I think NASCAR came out and said they're going to look at this. But he essentially right rears Ty Dillon on the front stretch. Dalton, I know you wanted to talk about this.
Yeah, I think so. I read Amy Henderson's Holding a Pretty Wheel column we put out last night. I got to edit that, and it was all about that. And if you'll note, if you go into our Twitter page, Front Stretch's Twitter page, you'll see that it's gotten quite a bit of traction, and for good reason. She made some great points. It was the fact that Austin Cindric just straight up, I mean, he did right hook Ty Dillon into the wall on the front stretch of COTA in the middle of the race, and there wasn't really any repercussions, at least for now. So I guess NASCAR is taking a look at it, but there's a precedent now, unfortunately. I mean, and now that there's a precedent, now that there has been consistency with NASCAR, what do we do here? Because in the last few years, we've seen some drivers get right hooked, and the perpetrator has been suspended the next weekend. So, yeah, here we go. or we're watching the replay here, for all you viewers out there, for you podcast listeners, Austin Cindric, it's basically the fan camera of Austin Cindric right hooking Ty Dillon that Fox showed. I guess they got that off the internet and not from their own camera. So
No. Yeah, I was gonna say it was the
so,
Fox Twitter account that tweeted that video.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, but anyway, so Austin Cindric should he be suspended now? Because we saw Bubba Wallace get suspended, we saw Chase Elliott get suspended. There is a precedent here. So even though that Ty Dillon's race wasn't completely ruined, that shouldn't really be the reason why. It should be the fact that there was some unsafe movement here. Peter, I'm super curious to hear what you think, as always, about everything.
Thanks, Dalton. So my take is, letter of the law, should he be suspended? Yes, but how it played out, it's tough for me to say that warrants a suspension because they were racing hard for a position, and there was contact right before the clip that we saw from Ty Dillon to Austin Cindric. So they were going back and forth, trading paint. And I think to send a message, this being Cindric's first time acting out of hand, a hefty points and monetary fine would do the job better than having him sit out a race.
Yeah,
Massie?
I think that it shouldn't be about how it looks, that what the final result of the crash was. I think it should be about intent, and what his intent was to end Ty Dillon's day right there. So I don't know, because you should suspend him because you suspended Chase Elliott and Bubba Wallace and Connor Jones last year, but they didn't suspend Austin Dillon, but they did take him out of the playoffs.
That's my take, is because Dillon wasn't suspended, but he did still have steep penalties.
He did.
Yeah.
But
But
I would argue that his penalty is worse than a suspension.
yeah,
like what he
yeah,
got.
and I think that's why they didn't suspend him, because they'd be like, "Oh, well, he just gets a week off before the playoffs start." Whereas, and that's why they changed the rules the way that they did, so that now you lose all of your playoff points. And so the thing is, they stiffened up the suspension penalties, but now it's like if they don't suspend him, it's like they're too scared to suspend him because of the penalty they created. So I don't know. I think they should make an example out of him. Say, hey, we made this stiff penalty. Here you go, Austin. You're suspended a race. Any playoff points you get this year will be gone. And, at the end of the day, I think Cindric is in a position where he's going to have to win anyways to get into the playoffs. And I don't really see him. Well, I guess he could win Phoenix because Penske's really good at Phoenix. But you take away one shot he has at winning, and then it would really just cost him 5 playoff points if he does get into the playoffs by winning.
Well, no, it would cost him. He's already won state. Did he win stage at Daytona already?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah.
No. Logano won the first one. Blaney passed him.
Wait,
yes, that is
Blaney
correct.
passed
Yes.
him
No,
forward,
okay.
right.
So I don't think he has
But
any.
He does
easily could.
not. I'm looking
But
right
wait,
now.
he won.
He does
the
not.
He does not have a
duel,
stage
so
win.
that
He does not
counts
have a
as
stage
win.
But he could win stages at Talladega or Daytona or something. So yeah, it could be more than 5 points. It could be like 8 points or something when it's all said and done. But so it's not that stiff of a penalty, really, and I think that's fair. I think you send the message across that, hey, we won't.
Well, no, he can't earn any more playoff points like the rest of the year too. So what if he does pull off
The rest
all
of the regular
4? I mean, he's in a rest of the regular season. Like he is in a Penske car. Like I know, and it appears like I think part of this was he had arguably the best car the first 2 weeks of the year, and he didn't get a win, and he probably didn't get a finish in either of those races he actually wanted. And then everything that could go wrong with him at the start of COTA did. And it just, you're in a hot race car and you react. And he probably didn't have any thought when he was doing it.
I think I can. Sorry, Trey, go ahead.
I was just saying that's what built up to it. Like, I think if I think he doesn't react the way he does if he has a better finish at Daytona and Atlanta, and is coming like feeling more confident, and then everything goes wrong at COTA.
I mean,
At a-
so
He has higher expectations for himself.
where was Austin? Where was he running when that happened?
In
Do we know?
30th. Him and Ty Dillon were
I mean,
racing
he was
for 30th.
racing Ty Dillon, so it probably wasn't very high in the field. So, I mean, think
Speak
about
of Amy Henderson, her favorite driver, Ty Dillon.
well. Oh, wait, really?
No, she.
Okay. Well,
How
I
did you
mean,
not get that joke?
I didn't. But anyway, I think. Well, speaking of her, she illustrated it really well in the beginning of her article, and that she was almost narrating what Austin Cindric was thinking, or really anybody who gets put in that position is thinking. It's like, it's hot. You're not running well. The car's not handling well. You're having a bad day. You're super, like, all these things pile on. You're super frustrated. You also still haven't won, like your point, Trey. You haven't won. You arguably should have won one of the two races that have already occurred this season, and honestly, they might have been your best chance to win. And now you're supposed to be this really good road course racer, and you're in 30th place. You're pissed. I mean, I get it. He's pissed off, and then some guy who arguably has not had the best Cup Series career, nudges you and hits you and races you dirty. Man, like, I'm surprised he didn't wreck him sooner. So I get the frustration. I really, really get it. I really understand the frustration in its heat of the moment, right? And that's really all what it boils down to. I bet every single time. I bet when Chase Elliott wrecked Denny Hamlin at the 600, I bet when Bubba Wallace wrecked Kyle Larson at Las Vegas, I bet both of those times they were like, oh boy, why did I do that? Like, now I'm in trouble.
I don't know about Bubba right after he did.
Yeah, I kind of thought of that the moment I said it. Maybe after he fought Kyle Larson, he might have been
Maybe like
after
30 minutes
ambulance.
later.
maybe like 30
Kyle
minutes
Larson.
after being in the care center, he was like, yeah, that probably wasn't a good idea. I might be in trouble here.
Once their adrenaline comes down, they stop seeing.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Great. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Good point, Peter.
Well,
Like,
Bubba did bring up a good point. What was it? I think it was after a tie. It might have been at Richmond. Like, Larson did that move, or it might have been after the Hamlin Larson thing. He's like, well, I know Larson ain't gonna try me like that anymore. And
Yeah.
I don't know if he has, like, I think he regrets how he handled it after he turned him and how he did it. But he also is like, well, he's not gonna do it
I
anymore
sent
to
a
me.
message. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's worth it. Like, I think Matt Kenseth would tell you it was worth it. What he did to Joey Logano.
He
that
cost
year.
Joey Logano a championship.
Yeah. And he gave Jeff Gordon his final win. So I think it's a win-win. for
Yes.
both teams.
Yes. Exactly. We have Matt Kenseth to thank for that.
Yes.
Which ironically, a 24 getting payback at Phoenix set up a Matt Kenseth win, his last win, right? Same race? Wasn't it the same race?
Yeah.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was,
that's
in
right.
2017.
Yeah.
Elliott
Oh my
wrecked
gosh.
Hamlin and put him in the
He
fence,
didn't
and then
wreck him, okay?
He put him-
kinda-
he
He
put him
got
in
his
the
tire
the
and then
wall.
Hamlin
He
bent
didn't even.
back.
That's not even when he
He
crashed.
did.
His tire went down.
Yeah.
after
He did
that.
what Hamlin did to Larson at Pocono. Pretty
He
much.
did
but-
what
still, it's similar. It was the payback. Like, it
Mhm.
works.
he did.
My
What
analogy
Kevin
works.
Harvick did to him at Bristol in 2021.
Yeah.
He, in other words, I like to say it this way: he made it look sexy. He made it
Hey,
look good.
oh.
There wasn't irrefutable evidence that he meant to do it.
He did what Larson did to Cindric, bringing it back around to Cindric at Atlanta last
See,
year.
it's all full circle.
Well, I don't know if this will come for full circle, but the Xfinity race saw two junior motorsports cars out front towards the end, and one was won by sensation Connor Zilic, who is 2 for 2 at road courses, 2 for 2 at getting poles, and is proven to be a pretty good race car driver. Another guy who I think had the surprise performance was Carson Kvapil in the one, who was on his way to finish second till he had a flat tire and had to finish 20th, something like that. But I'm Massie. Shall we recklessly compare the two after 3 weeks?
Oh yeah. That's watching that race, I think everyone expected to see two junior motorsports cars up there at the front. But I think the ones they expected were to be Zilich, who won the race, and Ross Chastain. And Chastain did have a pretty good day. But no, it was do you guys know who got the bonus point for the fastest lap of the day?
Trey. It
Trey.
was Carson Quapple. It was Carson
Quapple. Who would have thought?
Didn't they have like the 10 fastest laps like together?
Yes.
Yeah.
Some ridiculous.
They each shared the 10 fastest laps.
But it's just, who would have thought that some short track kid, Cars Tour champion, would be out on a road course, and he had run there in the TA2s, that to be fair, but that he would go toe to toe with the next coming, or the prodigy that is Connor Zillage on road courses.
Yeah, you got a guy who ran a TH2 versus the guy who's won the 24 hours of Daytona and the 12 hours of Sebring. Like,
well, we've kind of seen the opposite of this before, where road course guys excel at Martinsville, like AJ Allmendinger, Marcus Ambrose, to an extent, even SVG last year at Martinsville.
Well, Zillage was really good at Phoenix. He finished
fifth. That too.
Yeah,
he was top 5 in Phoenix. So I feel like the skills are somewhat transferable between short track racing, saving your tires, managing a whole race between short track and a road course.
Well, everyone's going crazy over Connor Zillage, but I seem to recall Carson Quapple last year. Really, he was kind of tearing it up in the 88 car. I mean, he almost won at Dover. I mean, he arguably should have won at Dover. I mean, he had a great debut. Yeah. He was running just as well as Connor was. I mean, he didn't win, but he was still getting top 5s and top 10s. So this is not that surprising to me. It's not like, I feel like it's just Carson Quapple would be the talk of the town if it weren't for Connor Zillage.
Yeah.
He was really good at Martinsville too. In the Xfinity Series. I remember.
I think he was top 5 in his debut, if I remember correctly, last spring in Martinsville.
So that brings about the question, though, for you guys. Who do you think is going to have a better career? And this is a recklessly speculative conversation, because we don't know.
We're here to have fun.
Yeah, we're just here to have fun and wildly predict. Let's start with you, Peter. Between Zillage and Quapple, who do you think will have a better career?
So are we limiting this to just NASCAR?
Yeah, let's just do NASCAR.
Okay, because I'm not fully convinced Zillage stays in NASCAR long term. I think if he gets an opportunity in a top flight IndyCar, or maybe even F1, should that ever happen, I think he would go for that. So I'll just say Kvapil for it, because I think his driving style, what he grew up racing, is more NASCAR style tracks. And I mean, we've seen between the speedways and the road course already to start the year, he's like a sponge. He adapts to new challenges pretty quickly.
So I go next. I'm taking.
Sorry, you know what? Go ahead, Trey. Yeah.
Thank you, kind sir. Thank you for your service. I am taking Connor Zillage. I just
Carter.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to be creative. Connor Zillage. I'm taking Zillage.
They both have a first name that starts with the letter C with 2 syllables, and they also both have really, really weird last names.
I know. Now, will Carson have his car? I don't think his car will be stolen like his dad did that one time. Y'all know that story? Travis Quapple's Cup car got stolen before the race and couldn't participate.
Right, in Atlanta a couple 10 years ago.
DK Racing, I want to say.
No,
yeah, it was the anniversary of it popped up, and I have a Today in Sports History segment on my show. And so I remember reading that while I was trying to figure out what I was going to do.
Yeah.
But I think it's Zillage, and it's just because it's kind of like he already has the path to Cup. And I feel like Trackhouse, it is clear to me that Trackhouse is shifting their focus from Ross Chastain to Connor Zillage. I don't know when it will happen, but I think I think the way Justin Marks is acting, there's a Cup team slowly being built around one guy, and it's Connor Zillage. And just because of that, I don't see that happening for Carson Quapple. Does he get to Hendrick in the 48? well, he's probably like the third guy there, you know?
Well, what if he's
And-
the number one guy at JRM and Cup?
That's a possibility, but I would argue Trackhouse, I mean, Connor's still going to be ahead of wherever JRM is because they're going to have multiple years in the Cup Series. So I just think it's more of a resource game than anything else. And I just think, honestly, I would not be shocked if Rick Hendrick comes up to Chevy and is like, hey, give me Connor Zilic, and they figure out a way to give Rick Hendrick Connor Zilic. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if that happens. I've thought of that this weekend, but Connor's won. Like, yes, Carson has looked great at Dover and Martinsville, but Connor still is won. Like, he's won. He's won the 12. Like, he's won 2 of the biggest races in the world, and then he's won, what, half of his Xfinity starts now? Something like that. Something ridiculous like that. And he's been on the pole for 2 of them. And we've seen him perform now at a Cup level. He was really good in a Cup car. He was top 10 in speed in practice. Qualified, 17th, which that's qualifying, but was moving through the field and got into the top 10 after starting in the back after getting wrecked out. Like, I think just the raw talent on Connor Zilic is just way too much. And and it's kind of like Kyle Larson. Like, Chip Ganassi at the end was built around Kyle Larson, and I think a big reason why it died is because everything that went down with Larson, and it kind of, I think Chip got out of it, and I think I would not be shocked if Trackhouse built everything around Connor Zilic, and we've seen that happen already.
See, that's where I think it gets a little bit unfair, though, because
that's true.
Connor Zilic.
But the question is, who will have a better future?
Well, okay, no, you said who has the better career. And I translate that as who has a better NASCAR career, not international career. Now, I think
has a better future is and I'm talking about NASCAR.
I seem to recall Massie saying better career.
Yeah, career.
Yes, and I'm saying Connor Zilic will have a better NASCAR career because he will have a whole NASCAR team built around him.
Okay, all right. Don't get angry, Trey, just because I'm disagreeing with you. We do that sometimes on this podcast.
Just clarifying my point. You thought I was.
I think you guys are arguing the same thing.
I'm not. I'm saying he's wrong and he's dumb. So no, seriously not. I mean, he's that's true. Like, Connor Zilic but he's internationally known already. I mean, I went on Twitter and when I was writing Thinking Out Loud, and I saw Brazilian Twitter accounts talking about Connor Zilic, talking about his win in the Xfinity Series, talking about his debut. I mean, this was probably one of the most publicized NASCAR Cup Series debuts in a while. I don't think Joey Logano even had a more publicized Cup Series debut.
I'd say Danica. Maybe this isn't.
Maybe Danica. Yeah, Danica. That's a good point. Danica. But here's the thing: is that Connor is already internationally known because he's won sports car races. He's known for his road racing. He's known for
being Europe.
Well, that's what I mean. Well, yes, that too. But
and he's a Red Bull athlete.
Yes. Okay. So yes, he's internationally known for all these other motorsports, but Connor Zilic also has not won a short track race. Carson Kvapil has. He's won many late model races with Junior Motorsports. So see, here's the difference: is that it's not that Connor Zilic has more success; it's that he just has success in a different, more globally recognized world. Whereas Carson Kvapil has success in a less recognized world, but at the same time, they're both going to translate well into the world of NASCAR.
Sir,
that's
Connor Zilic has won on short tracks. He won at both Iowa and IRP in the Arkham and Art Series, and he won at Hickory in the car store.
Okay,
and
all right.
And
who did he drive for?
Cars Pro.
Who did he drive for, Trey?
I have no idea. Rackley and Pinnacle Racing Group.
Okay, well, so he was driving for fast teams. All right, so yes, he's very easy.
Yeah, Carson Kvapil didn't race for a fast team in the car store.
Okay,
what team did he race for?
But he has more wins.
What team did he race for?
He has more wins than Connor Zilic.
Because he was in more races.
Yeah, but he's
with Junior Motorsports.
All right, Trey. My point being is that they come from different backgrounds. So,
I agree.
Okay, then stop interrupting me. All right.
But you said
anyway,
short track races.
So I think that despite Trey interrupting me being rude, I do believe they're both coming from variously widely different backgrounds. And I think Carson Kvapil is still, I think he's still going to have a little bit more success when it comes to the more short track focused races than Connor Zilisch will. That said, how long are we going to have all these short tracks? I don't know, because the way things are with the next gen car, it might not be as prevalent as, say, the road courses will be. Depends on kind of how the future of NASCAR goes.
Well, 2 years ago, we were saying the same thing about road courses with the next gen car, and we just saw the best next gen road racing COTA. So I'm convinced whatever's wrong with short tracks now can be fixed with enough tweaking.
I think
It's starting
already-
to. I mean, we're coming off a good Martinsville race.
I think the
year.
last 2 short track races, Richmond and Martinsville, were both good last year.
Exactly. My point exactly.
But yeah, they just got to get the tire right, like the road courses.
Yeah.
But
I think they're there. I think they're both going to be still just as
The
prevalent
option
in the
tire,
future.
which we'll talk about next week, is coming in this week.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But the Zilisch Kvapil thing, it is a really tough one because I think both will have good Cup careers. I think, and yeah, there's that whole deal of, you're right, Trey, that Zilisch has the path to Cup, and Kvapil, I don't know, unless Junior Motorsports does go Cup racing, it's tough to say. And then he also doesn't have like sponsors. I mean, he has Bass Pro, I guess, but like that's a junior sponsor. That's not like tied to him the way Red Bull is tied to Zilisch. So like based on opportunity and sponsors and stuff like that, it's really easy to say Zilisch will have the better career. But if you get both of them in good Cup rides, I think it'd be Kvapil, just because he seems to have adapted to like that adaptability. That's a hard word to say.
Adaptability.
Adaptability to like him running good at Dover and Xfinity car and running mile and a half. That's the thing, is you got to be good at mile and a halves in the ovals, not just the short tracks. And I could see Kvapil getting better than Zilisch on those, but it'd be really interesting to see. The other thing, Zilisch does have the age advantage. He's 3 years younger than Kvapil, and that's not
He's
huge.
got the age advantage on everybody.
Yeah. Think about it, like Denny Hamlin made a good point on his podcast that he could be Zilich's father, like, and not like a teenage dad or anything either. He'd be like in his mid-20s having Zilisch.
He'd be starting his Cup career, like essentially.
Yeah.
I think the same goes for like Kyle Busch and Keselowski. Like that's just crazy to think.
I mean, he could be Dale Jr.'s son or Justin Marks' son. I mean, really.
Yeah.
Which, granted, there's a lot of owners that I guess could be their driver's sons because they're very old at this point, and one is their grandson. So I can't really. That's not far to say.
He could be Rick Hendrick's great grandson.
He could be Roger Penske's great grandson.
I want to add another short track win for Connor Zilisch. He won at Orange County in the Carolina Pro Late Model Series.
Okay. All right.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
But
Well,
you're
you
right.
also
man.
said
This
that
is-
Carson Kvapil has not won.
in the Xfinity Series was my
No.
point.
Okay.
Yes, I
Just
said
wait a
he
few
never
weeks
won.
from
and he-
Martinsville. I'm convinced Kvapil just about laps the field there.
Yeah. I think if
I
Carson
wouldn't necessarily
Kvapil,
disagree.
I think if Carson Kvapil and Connor Zilisch get in the same race in the late
Which-
models, I think he wins. I think Carson Kvapil wins.
Yeah, Kvapil's had more prestigious late model wins, like the Martinsville late model race.
Yeah.
He's got a couple of those. Yeah. And a couple of car store titles too.
Yeah.
But okay, look, I've arguing with Trey aside, he is right. He's right. Connor Zilisch has short track wins. So that is a fair point. I mean, that is a reason why you could say, and you know what? All of this aside, I think if there's anybody that's going to bridge the gap between road courses and short track talent, it's probably going to be Zilisch. Like, I don't know if Carson, but God, this is so hard.
He's doing
because
it
now
the
that I
right
think
time.
about it, well, now that I think about it, Kvapil
Unlike-
just finished second at COTA. So,
Yeah.
Unlike
It's
AJ,
tough.
unlike these like true road course guys coming over, like
Yes.
AJ. I think AJ's the best example. Like Ambrose, you throw Ambrose in here, even SVG to some degree. Like he's doing this at 18 years old,
mhm.
and so he's gonna have so much time, just naturally. to. It will be interesting this season. I don't think Carson. I think Connor's gonna be one and done. I have a gut feeling Connor's one and done in the Xfinity Series, and he's gonna be Cup next year in
I hope not.
the car that he might have took out. Just recklessly speculating here at COTA.
Yeah.
But it will be interesting to see. Did Carson race Phoenix too? I don't think he did. I'm trying to think. Is there a track they've both done that they're gonna race at?
No, because Zilich was in the 88, so Quapple would not have been in that race.
Yeah.
So, because it'll be interesting to see Phoenix. Phoenix is the first oval that Zilich has done twice in the Xfinity Series, and I'm interested to see how he does there. And then Martinsville is going to be interesting. Like they're going to be in the same equipment this year, so it's going to be very interesting to see how she.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say this. We could expand this conversation. It would be interesting because, you could add in Corey Heim, Jesse Love, as those I think those are probably the top 4 guys in terms of prospects right now.
Yeah.
And
I can't think of anyone else.
Unless you want to go
Times, I don't even know about Jesse Love anymore, to be honest with you. Peter's gonna be right back, by the way, for everyone watching.
Yes,
but we'll see his.
He's just so pissed off. He decided to get off.
He's like, I can't handle these two. Man, I don't even know about Jesse Love anymore. Though I think Corey Heim's very good. I think he's.
I would put 3 if I had to pick 3. I'm going Heim, Quapple, Zilich, and I feel really and maybe Corey Day, but maybe Corey Day. That might be you want to throw another name out there because Corey Day is getting the Larson comparisons, and the one guy notice who Rick Hendrick didn't back Carson, neither of these guys, and he's backed Corey Day. He clearly is backed Corey Day, so maybe we're all wrong and it's Corey Day who's the guy.
Well, I need to see more Corey Day starts. Yeah,
I need to see it, but the guy who's backing him. No offense, I would take Rick Hendrick's backing over any of these guys.
He's backing
outside of Roger Penske, I would take his backing.
He's backing Roger Carruth as well, and Roger's only won 1 race.
He also put Boris Said in his car, also.
Yeah, that's true.
Boris Said going to Hendrick full time eventually.
Yeah, Boris Said the 48 full time. No disrespect to Boris, okay, at all.
That was just a nostalgia play.
Yeah.
And he's also sponsored. Hey, you know what? Maybe conspiracy theory. Who's the sponsor of the 33 for Casey Kane at Rockingham in the Xfinity Series? Rick Hendrick. Maybe Casey Kane making his return.
He's coming back. This is it.
I'd love to see Casey Kane in the Hendrick 17 in one-off Xfinity race. Now that you mentioned that.
Shout out to Casey Kane.
I will say, all right, before we move on, I do want to say, how does it feel to be Sammy Smith right now? Because you got these 2 prospects that everyone's talking about, and you got Justin Allgaier who just won the championship, and so you're clearly the 4th guy.
You're sponsoring the
DEI.
I think out of the 4 junior motorsports guys, Zilich is probably the most. He's probably the most likely to go to Cup next year, which is
I will say
he just got here.
I would say this: if Junior Motorsports goes to Cup, I think the first offer is to Justin Allgaier.
No, I agree, but
I
still,
think
I think so too. But Allgaier's not a young guy. Says he had long.
No, I know it would be a
I think.
Thank you for building this team to where it is and giving us this opportunity. Your last season will be in the Cup Series.
Yes. Yeah.
It would be that kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a way to get it ready for Quaffle.
Or Corey Day if you need enough Hendrick sponsorships.
Warm up the seat for Quapple or Corey Day. Anybody but not.
Because I bet you that Corey Day will be in a Junior Motorsports car before you know it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All right. So quickly, we're going to update you about the draft. Big week for Dalton Hopkins, 168 points. Actually, pretty good week for all of us. Massie at 119, myself in last place at 116, Caleb a good week at 142, and now it brings this is probably the tightest the top 4 have been ever in this outside of the first week of the season. Massie holding a slight 2-point lead over Caleb. I'm in third at 360, and then Dalton pull up the real at 341. But if you want to feel good about yourself, you're doing better than Brian Nolan. So
Because I actually picked my drivers this time.
And you
Yes.
have more points still than Chase Briscoe.
that is true.
Me, myself, sitting here outside of the draft has more points than Chase Briscoe.
We all do.
Actually,
Combined.
Yeah.
We have more points than every NASCAR driver because 116 is leading the points right now, Peter. It's a good. All right. So a fun final topic that I will admit, I begged Dalton and Massie that we do. I think it's fun. So if you may have heard, John Cena, who was the good guy of all good guys in this world, especially in professional wrestling, decided to become a bad guy, aligning with The Rock. Apparently Travis Scott was there. Travis Scott was there too. So what a moment for some reason. He ironically smacked the you-know-what out of the then good guy, Cody Rhodes. Just to put in NASCAR context, which I think someone tweeted this, it was 5 Wide Sports. They said in NASCAR terms, it's like Dale Sr. and Jeff Gordon teamed up to right hook Dale Jr. Perfect way to sum it up. So this leads us to a fun NASCAR discussion to wrap up the show. What were the biggest NASCAR heel turns, aka when they became a bad guy, in the history of NASCAR? Peter, do you want to go first on this one? You were the last one to get this topic, so I will give you the benefit of the doubt of going first or last.
All right, I guess I can go first. And to reference a race that was brought up earlier, the 2015 Martinsville Fall race, I think that was the turning point for Joey Logano in many fans' eyes, because before then he was really an underdog, kind of seen as a guy who occasionally won, but that was coming off of 3 straight wins. Obviously, Jeff Gordon won that race, so that race is remembered fondly for many people, and Joey Logano is not seen fondly by as many people today. So I think that was the true turning point, inflection moment of his career where he turned heel.
I would argue that he became a heel at Kansas a couple of weeks earlier.
Yeah.
What about when he wrecked Denny at Auto Club?
He got wrecked.
What about when he wrecked Denny at Auto Club when Denny was still popular and Tony fought him?
That too.
Was that the same year? No, that was a year before.
That was 2013.
That was 2 years before. Yeah, it was 2013.
So that might have been like the seeds of it, 2013.
Yeah.
And then became a full heel in 2015.
But regardless, in the 2015 playoffs, we definitely saw Joey Logano turn heel.
Yes. I think I know what Massie's going to pick.
I know what I'm going to pick. He's got 1987. I don't know. Probably my guess.
You're close.
Something with Rusty Wallace.
Yeah.
Yes.
I knew it.
The Winston.
So Darrell Alder was a highly hated, he was the Joey Logano of his era during the 80s. And everyone loved to boo him. And he was always running his mouth and stuff. All of a sudden, Rusty Wallace, in the meantime, was this young up and coming guy that people kind of liked. He was friends with Earnhardt. And then in 1989, the Winston at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Rusty wrecks DW, and all of a sudden they flipped. Rusty becomes the guy everybody hates, and DW becomes the guy everybody loves. DW won most popular driver that year. That's how big a flip that one event was. So yeah, that's the one for me.
I think nowadays, actually, no, this did happen. That would not happen today. Chase Elliott did wreck Denny Hamlin, and he still was most popular driver.
Yeah.
I was at that race.
Yeah, Trey. Yeah, I know you're going to
I'll go with the layup and go 08 Richmond with Kyle Busch.
Mother.
Oh,
I got to think about this.
My problem with that one is Junior was already popular and people already hated Kyle Busch. I mean, that was the defining moment.
Yeah, but Cody, here's the thing. Cody Rhodes is, so if we want to relate it, Cody Rhodes, it's not like this moment made Cody Rhodes popular.
Mm-hmm.
Like Cody Rhodes is, if you're a wrestling fan, Cody Rhodes is the top baby face. So that's another part. It's like a perfect parallel. You have, and he took literally Dale Jr. took this, the spot. John Cena was the guy. Now Cody Rhodes is the guy. Kyle Busch's spot was taken by Dale Jr. No, it's not like
And now
they weren't the
Dale,
guy. And
Dale Jr. is going to star in the next Suicide Squad. Yes,
boom, he's actually Dale Jr. is Peacemaker.
it's Peacemaker.
But I think because Kyle Busch has been the biggest bad guy of this last since 08. Like he's been the biggest bad guy. He is, and he's embraced it. Honestly, you could argue better than anyone, just as good as Dale. Like you could argue, obviously Dale, like it's different, but like Kyle embraced it, and he was so good at being a bad guy. Guess what he is now? He's loved, and he's still him. So I think I'll go Kyle. I'll go 08. And then it obviously the Hornaday thing was a part of it. That was 13, right?
Yeah.
11?
It was, that was 2011. So
okay.
I think I agree with Trey. Richmond was like the moment.
I think it's the biggest one.
People already kind of disliked him, but that was the moment where everyone just absolutely loathed. Like he needed security to leave that track. That's how bad it was.
Yeah. He was so hated. It got Brad Kes it made Brad Keselowski popular because he called him an ass. Like and no one knew who Brad was.
Yeah.
And then Kyle has that infamous moment where it's like Marty Smith asked him, like Kyle after the race after he won, it's like, what did you think of Brad's moment? He's like, who? I remember passing him.
Yeah. Yeah, but then again, Brad ended up winning the championship before he did. So
boom roasted.
Boom roasted. Yeah, I think
Hamlin wrecking Chase. Wrecking Chase, I think, is another good one. So
Thanks, Trey. Thank you. Thank you for taking it before literally as I was saying it. Thank you so much.
Sorry. I've been an ass to Dalton tonight, and I'm so sorry.
So anyway, yeah. I mean, you want to talk about babyface. You want to talk about something similar to 2008 Richmond. That was like mirror moment, like a Joe Gibbs car taking out the most popular driver at Hendrick Motorsports at a short track. And that was Denny Hamlin dumping Chase Elliott in what was going to be his first career win. I mean, it was going to do it in the last few laps at Martinsville. And I don't think Denny Hamlin was as disliked as Kyle Busch was before that Richmond race, but that definitely made him hated. People hated Denny Hamlin after that, and they still hate him now. And I think they hate him. And I think a lot of people, you ask a lot of people, a lot of Chase Elliott fans even, if you ask a lot of people why they dislike Denny Hamlin, a lot of them will say 2017 Martinsville. That was a big moment for both of them.
He used to get cheered at Martinsville and Richmond. And then after that, he started getting booed every year.
That was his home track.
Yeah.
And the moment he got out of the car, people booed the crap out of him. His home track. And they still boo him today.
Yeah. Another good one, though, I was thinking about was Dale Earnhardt, Bristol night race, 1999. Was he wrecked Terry Labonte and they booed him out of there and he needed security to get out of there. Like that was Dale Earnhardt. The crowd turned on him that night. Oh yeah.
Any others you can think of?
I think we're 9 minutes over, so
yeah I think we can wrap up. All right.
Or Tom Bowles kills us.
Okay. Well, we teased it in the middle, so we were going to announce this now before we let Peter plug his stuff. Our guest next week, probably, we'll go with the most recent heel turn in NASCAR, is Chris Wright, who took out our next guest and has decided to double down on it wasn't his fault these past couple of weeks. And our next guest next week is Josh Bilicki. So Josh Bilicki going to join us next week. Maybe you could argue the biggest babyface in the Xfinity Series if you can, the way Chris Wright treated him the last couple of weeks. So gonna be a fun show next week. Glad to have Josh Bilicki joining us for happy hour next week. I think he'll offer some great insight from the race at Phoenix. But a guy who offers great insight every time he's on the show is Peter Stratta at Peter Stratta on Twitter. Peter, I'll let you plug anything you want on the way out of here.
Like you said, at Peter Stratta on Twitter to find anything I write, and then same handle on YouTube at Peter Stratta, which I'm sure you'll tag in the description. But under this, that's where you can find all my video content, both from the track when I am there and virtually when I'm not there.
Dalton, I'll see you on Sunday. Let me look at the time. 3:30 right here on YouTube. We'll be watching
Eastern.
the race. 3:30 Eastern right here on YouTube, on the tube. YouTube.com/front stretch. Subscribe, hit the notifications button, and you'll know when we're on. And come watch the race with us. Massie, all right, do you have anything this week?
Fire and Friday's column coming out on guess what day? Friday.
Yeah, if you want to see the one that an article that aged poorly in a weekend, check out Michael Massey's Fire on Friday. If road course racing is oversaturated or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's the love
road
affair.
course fatigue.
Yeah,
road course fatigue.
I admit it did not age well, and but if the race had stunk, I would have looked like a genius. So,
well, you also picked Connor Zilic and he finished last, so it's just the Michael Massey curse all weekend.
Yeah, it really is. Hey, Connor Zilic finished one. I was looking up while we were talking. He finished one spot better than Danica Patrick did in her debut. So
there was one more car in Danica Patrick's debut.
No, there was 43 in her debut. She got 38. So really, she did better.
All right, that will do it. Thinking Out Loud this week was great, so make sure you check that out if you haven't yet. From Dalton, for Peter.
If you don't mind, I'm sorry, Peter, but I do actually have one more article coming out this week. Hopefully, it'll be out by tomorrow night. So we'll see what happens.
What's it about?
So I went to all 3 season opening races for NASCAR, IMSA, and IndyCar this year. So I'm writing about my experiences on that and comparing all the 3. So I'll probably make a lot of open wheel fans very upset.
Oh boy.
Probably not, though. I have good things to say, I promise.
Fancy Pants Rich McGee over there. No, it's just because Dalton is the best reporter we have at frontstretch.com.
I am certainly a reporter at Front Stretch, yes.
No, you are the best around. All right, there we go. I'll end it on that. Peter's a great reporter too. I have to give him that credit. All right, so thanks so much for listening to this episode.
Peter, it was your stuff.
I did. I said I
did.
I said on Twitter and YouTube, and then
I let him do it.
I'm sorry.
Well, now he was the first one.
Where were you?
All right. I was.
I figured. You know why I interrupted you so much is because you weren't paying attention 95% of the time.
I was talking.
Do you know what we talked about today?
He was hearing you, but he wasn't listening.
Oh my God.
Or what a way to end.
Just end the episode.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Happy Hour.